Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, and as you could tell by the thumbnail and the title, I am going to be doing a Draw My Life Fright Nights edition whilst answering some questions that I was asked on Instagram. I didn't say that I would shout anyone's names out, so just for privacy reasons I won't be doing that. If you did ask me any questions though, thank you, I appreciate it a lot. During this video I will be talking about my routine and basically just what goes on behind the scenes as a Thorpe Park scare actor whilst drawing. My drawings aren't amazing, so sorry if the whiteboard changes position also, and this does say 2019, not 2079. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy this video and let's get into it. If you do want to know what happens in a Fright Nights audition, I did do a video about that as well, so if you do want to go watch it, you can watch that now or you can watch it after, it's up to you. Once you do find out though that you have the job, you are invited to 2 inductions. This here is what the layout looks like when I arrived at Thorpe Park for the inductions. They made it look very fancy, so that's why there is a disco ball. There wasn't actually a disco, unfortunately. One induction was about the company, and then the other one on a different day is about the departments. So the company one is, well, you know, learning about the company, rules, and some background information. And then the department one, which was my favourite, was about learning about the different mazes that they did at Thorpe Park, which was very exciting. During obviously the inductions, they did play a few games to break the ice between us all, which was really nice, and I'm just going to show you one of the games that they played, which I just found really funny. So there were some sticky notes on tables and they got us all to write out a chore that we didn't really quite like, and then 3 reasons why we didn't enjoy it. Once we had all written down what we didn't like as a chore and why, they then asked us to cross that out, the chore, and then rewrite it with, yes, sex. So that was quite funny because then we all swapped cards and read aloud what everyone thought sex was like. Later that day, which was what we had all been waiting for, was finally to find out what maze we were going to be in. So they started to call everyone's names out, and then you would go to stand in a certain area. So the dots are people, and then the people in the middle are the show captains. They are the ones who run the maze that you end up being in. They were all holding a piece of paper that actually had the name of the maze on it, but we couldn't see it because they'd hold it quite close to them. So then they all started running around the room and we were like, what is going on? And we had no idea who had who or where anyone was, so it was very, very tense but also exciting. And then they also did a countdown, and they started running around crazy, and then after 3, 2, 1, our show captain ran to us and showed us the maze that we would be in. And then I was there very, very excited about the maze that I got. Once we had then all found out what maze we were all in, we then went to our own little section and we kind of just spoke about our rehearsal dates and what the maze was about, what to expect as well. This here is my show captain. Sorry Josh, I tried. He reveals that obviously we are in platform 15. So if you didn't know, I was in platform 15 this year at Thorpe Park. And this kicks off the first question, which was, did you enjoy platform 15? So yes, I loved it. Obviously the cast is what makes it, and having an amazing and loving cast made it enjoyable and fun to be in. I also just loved the storyline and the characters, as you could just be quite flexible with how you portrayed each one, like every day. So that was really fun. When it came to rehearsals, you do have a lot to learn, but they were never boring rehearsals. Every maze will rehearse differently as well. For example, most mazes might not use a script, but we did. It wasn't too long of a script, so it was quite easy as well to remember. And then the people I'm drawing here is actually us. We were being animals. The reason we're animals is because different characters had to be quite animalistic, so you have to learn how different animals move as well. Your body isn't going to be used to that, so we really had to understand how they move and how we could implement that in this character. So what I'm drawing now is actually how we got our stairs down. So it's quite hard not to come out of character, especially making eye contact with someone. It can be quite uncomfortable as well, but it's also a really good scare technique to have in the maze. So we definitely had to practice that and how we could not come out of character if someone's being quite silly. We also had to practice how to switch emotions dramatically for another character as well. So we did this by thinking about either something you love or a good memory, or talking about your hobbies. So obviously I went for pizza because I love pizza, and then suddenly switch into the most painful memory or experience and how you would feel or react. And most of all, it was fun. We just had fun throughout this whole experience. It was fun, but yeah, rehearsals were definitely very fun. So another question was, how long did it take you to get to work, or your routine getting to work? Obviously this will be different for everyone, but for me, I would have to wake up at 9 in the morning. I would then grab a little cup of coffee, because I love a good coffee. I would then get a train, and I had to get an underground and an overground, so I had to get 2 trains. This can obviously be quite difficult, especially if some get delayed or cancelled, so I would always have to just make sure that I left with loads of time to spare. But then once I got off the trains, I would then catch a bus, and we actually got to ride this for free because we worked at Thorpe Park, which was really cool as well. Then after the bus, it's literally a 5-minute walk to Thorpe Park, and overall it took around an hour and 45, and that's not obviously including waiting times and everything like that. If I did have a car, then it would only be a 45-minute journey, so if only I had a car. The next question was, do you do your own makeup for platform? And yes, we did do our own makeup. We do get a free makeup bag that came with a flannel, some sponges and a little brush. You can bring in any makeup in terms of like special effects or different types. However, they did have makeup there, so the basics we would need to create the look for the characters. But if you wanted to bring in your own foundation in, or your own base to suit your skin type, then you could, and you could do the same with removing the makeup, as they didn't have products that they would supply you with. So I just used wipes a lot, like facial wipes. It was just a lot easier to take the makeup off with. Another question was, what was your favourite character? So here I'm drawing myself. That looks nothing like me. So if I had to choose, it would be what we call a sleeper. The character's very animalistic, so you could change the way the body moved all the time and switch it up, which was just really fun to do. And I loved the makeup, and just the noises that we got to make was really cool as well. So definitely would have to say sleeper would be my favourite. And it's a sleeper, not a zombie, because we did get called zombies a lot. But as you can see here, I spell zombie, so I'm very clever, very clever. After makeup, we have costumes. So in case you wanted to know what we wore, or if they provided us with any, which yes, they do. So it's really easy. We would just have to arrive in black. So I would always wear like a black t-shirt, black leggings. And then the other characters, in case you're interested: tour guide, top hat, cap, and then a white shirt, anything that was clean, waistcoat and a jacket. And then we also had a sleeper, which was very similar. It was just a white shirt that had been quite dirtied with like oil down it. Anything that just didn't look clean. And then I would wear my black leggings as well. They did wash the clothes every day, so don't worry, they were never actually dirty. And we do get given gloves, so there were gloves given to us to make sure our hands were warm, but also just to protect us from impacting on the walls or anything in the maze that would just make a good sound effect. And passengers on a train, and then they die and become ghost-like. So if you do want to hear more about the storyline of the maze, or maybe a video about it, then please let me know in the comments below, and I don't mind doing a video about that. So the passengers, they could pretty much wear anything. For example, I would just always wear a dress with like a scarf or a cardigan, always making sure I'm just keeping warm. I'm now going to talk about what it's like being in the maze and how we deal with it. So we did get breaks. We have like a rota that would change every day as to be where you would be placed in the maze. Our maze would open at 3, and then someone would always start on break in each section, and then you would tag the next person who was in first place, and then it was like a domino effect basically. Everyone gets a break, and you just keep doing that until we close at around 10. And then this little house at the bottom is our green room, and that is where we would have 30 minutes. And we would then have a 10-minute walk to the maze, and then a 5-minute walk to sort ourselves out. So we had like a 45-minute break, which was really nice. Another question I was asked was, can you talk to each other during the maze? It really depends where you were in the attraction. So what I'm drawing now is the start of the attraction. So the people in the top hats were the tour guys, and then the people cheering, that's the guests. So obviously everyone could see us at the front constantly, so even if we did want to chat, we would have to be discreet, so we wouldn't really talk here anyway. But I'm going to show you another part of the maze where we could. Also, these water bottles, yes, they are not going to expect you to do all these noises and talking all day without any water, so we would have water bottles, we just had to hide them because we don't want to ruin the illusion or experience for guests. So this is another section of the maze. It's a train section where the passengers were, and yes, we could talk to each other when there was no guests coming round. There was another question that links into this, and that was, how can you hear people coming? So because obviously there are sound effects and loud musics and pyrotechnics in our maze, and if we are talking, how could we hear people coming? So some of the sound effects actually would let us know that guests were close and you could hear them. You can also just hear people screaming anyway, so we would just have to listen out and not really talk loud, just so that we can make sure we can hear you guys coming around the corner. So the next question was, how often did you get irritating guests? And another question, because they kind of relate, which was, what was the most challenging thing about the job? So I wouldn't say irritating, just maybe unnecessary behaviour or inappropriate. We did get some aggressive guests, should I say. Unfortunately, it's one of those things where someone might go into a maze and not like the fact they're getting scared, and as their reaction, they would just shout and talk quite aggressively. We would just say, you know, if you don't want to be in here, like, you can leave, because you're not obviously obliged to be in the maze if you don't want to. So sometimes, yes, I would say that the most challenging thing about the job is dealing with those situations, but luckily it wasn't all the time. I mean, you are going into a scare maze and you have to expect that people will be jumping out at you and being quite close, and that's what the experience is. That's why people go in there, for the scare. If you feel like you are someone who might not react well to it or not like it, then just don't go in them, because we don't do it to hurt someone. We actually do it for the opposite reason, and we really want to make someone laugh and have fun, and that's what I loved most about it, was getting those reactions. Like, someone might say, oh, that was really good scare, and it's really rewarding because that's what the job is. So it was nice to feel that energy back. That was probably my favourite. So obviously our maze, if you didn't know, was outside. Not every maze is. So unfortunately it would rain a lot and we would get soaked. They don't expect you to work in severe weather. They would close the maze. However, if it was raining slightly, we would stay in the maze. But the team were amazing and would always bring round extra layers, and if we needed any, like, coats. And we were allowed to get, like, hot drinks to keep us warm if we were really cold. And we were even given little hand warmers as well to keep us nice and toasty. The team at Thorpe Park are really amazing, and they always do make sure that you are okay. Then to finish it off, what would happen after we finish the maze and when we go back to the green room? And it's always fun in the green room. There is never a dull moment. We always put music on, and sometimes there's an extra bit at the end of the day, but I don't want to give too much away in case you want to do it next year. And if you have any questions that I didn't answer in this video, please write them in the comments below and I will answer them for you, especially if you are interested in participating next year. And also keep an eye out, because applications do go up very quickly in the new year, which will be on the Merlin page, and I will leave the link in the description below. That wraps up this video, and I hope you liked it because it was very fun to do. So if you did, please give it a thumbs up, and you can also click the little bell to stay notified whenever I upload a new video. Also, please subscribe by either clicking on my face at the end of the video, or you can simply just click this little button at the corner and I will show you with a little heart where it is, and you will automatically be subscribed to this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye!